Howdy Friars. So we got a few things we're talking about, focusing on this week. As far as smoke signal goes, there's a few different tracks that we're focused on right now. First of all, the good news is that the .eth domain should be updated with a new interface later today. Just a few more functionality stuff to tick off today, and then that'll be uploaded or updated rather. I'll let you guys know in the chat when that happens. Once that's updated, then there's these three tracks. The first track is pretty quick. I want to get gtags up, which can tag certain actions so we can see that in analytics. So for example, if a user connects their wallet and they have Ether but they don't have DAI, well, I guess that doesn't matter for this version. So if they connect their wallet and they don't have Ether, or they do, then the gtags would pick that up and send that to the analytics so we can get a lot of information on our users. So I want to go through the app and sort of pepper it with these gtags. And then once that's done, we can start the soft marketing, what I'm sort of thinking of as soft marketing, which would be putting banner ads up and just kind of quite directly pumping small amounts of money into marketing just to get some traffic to Smoke Signal and see how users bounce off. I wouldn't be surprised if none of that is if it's not very directly effective, because the gas costs are just still so incredibly high. But I think it's still worth spending the marketing money getting that data. So that's the first track. The second track is just to get some styling tweaks in and get it working on mobile. The style currently is not so satisfying. The placement and functionality, how things work is, but we can change the color scheme and fonts, I think, to make it look a little bit more attractive. And so that's what Ronan will be focusing on, the Elm developer, while I focus on that first track of Google, the gtags and starting the marketing. And then the third one, which is more long-term, is the scaling. We want to get scaling done, some sort of scaling solution where people don't have to spend so much on gas. And then once that's actually in place, then we'll start doing the hard-hitting marketing, which would be reaching out to ChicoCrypto, for example, and getting a lot of exposure that way. We just don't want to launch that kind of expensive and effective marketing until we have the scaling thing solved, just because it's such a significant issue at the moment, the gas costs. So those are the three tracks. First one, gtags all through the app, and then soft marketing, so we can sort of get traffic and measure how that traffic reacts to the app. And then alongside that, and I'll be doing that, alongside that, the Elm developer Ronan will be doing styling tweaks and getting it working on mobile, which might actually be informed by that the data that we get from the traffic. And then that third track again is getting some kind of scaling solution up, and then once that's done, getting the really expensive and hard hitting marketing going. So, and then on that third one, it's tough because it's hard to predict how long that will take, because we still have to really narrow down what our options are for scaling and which one we'll go for. That's for Smoke Signal. I'm still working on the roadmap. I need to make some body text for each of the items and check in with the visual designer to see where the roadmap is at. And then part of the complexity of the roadmap is for Smoke Signal, the scaling thing is hard to predict how long that will take, because we have yet to decide on what that strategy is going to be. So I'm hoping to find a way to put that vague complexity into the roadmap so we can be transparent about it without locking ourselves into plans we haven't actually made yet. And maybe I've said this before, but I think part of the solution there is we can make regular updates to a roadmap. And so even if any given roadmap has a lot of vagueness in sort of the medium to long term, the short term can be clear, and we can keep updating that just to get a lot of transparency with the community again, without locking ourselves into plans that we're not yet comfortable with. And then Skulk, as far as the death contract, Skulk is currently researching where the Ether goes when a CDP is defaulted or bitten, to use their terminology. So, which shouldn't happen in the death contract. Well, it shouldn't, but if our assumptions about how fast the price changes, the Ether price changes, if that's incorrect, there is a small chance it could be bitten. So we just want to make sure that in that case, the death contract itself reacts appropriately, and people can get their underlying ETH out. So, of course, that making that work depends on knowing where that ETH goes in the case of a CDP being bitten. So that's what he's focused on now. The death interface is pretty much functional, but it's still pointing at the old death contract. So we need to make that small update. And another thing we want to add to the interface is when you pull out of when you redeem your DETH tokens for ETH, if you have a big chunk of the DETH tokens, you can't pull it all out in one chunk because that will move the CD way too far down past the defaulting territory. So you need to do it out in 2 chunks or more. So we just want to make sure the interface reflects that, rather than just telling the user that the transaction is going to fail for no reason. Yeah, that's all on the horizon for this week. That's kind of what we're thinking about. Yeah, not much more to say. I'm eager to get that roadmap out to you guys and just kind of expose more transparency to you guys. Yeah, and we'll revisit on Friday and see how far we got with all this stuff.